Has everybody brought flowers down that has them? Great.
Oh, it's so pretty, beautiful.
Oh, please, thank you.
You can just set it in the base. You can put it in maybe the bases.
Hey, Sada, are your flowers for plants?
Don't you have a bell on the piano?
Hello.
Hello.
No, there's some people. Yeah, wait for the bell.
Yeah.
Have they moved in?
How can I help?
We need to find a chime.
The what?
The chime.
Oh, we got, where did the chime go? It was here yesterday. There it is.
Okay, that's the church bell for today.
That's the church bell today? So
Yeah.
when do we,
There's, it's
now?
It's now, yeah.
Well, we didn't know. Oh, you should do this, Barb, since you're talking to me.
What do I do?
It's just, that's it. It's done.
Good morning. I'm going to do the announcements today. My name is Barb Langle, and I serve on the board. But before the announcements, of course, it's the beginning of the month, so it's a new birthdays. And August birthdays. Born in August, they said you like to joke. You're brave and have leadership qualities. You take pride in yourself. You're observant, think fast on your feet, you love to give, and you love to dream. The August birthdays I have are Lydia Porter, Sue Harder, Susan Lee, Kevin O'Gallagher, Katya Halstead, Sawyer Fouch, Dee Marich, and Lilia Wolf. Any others that we... Oh, happy birthday. That's Medina, right? Medina, right. Okay, for announcements, there is a registry out front. If you haven't signed it, please make sure you sign it. It's just to keep track of everybody that's here. In case something comes up with COVID, we'll know who was here, and anybody that has a problem, that found out that they were exposed or something, they can call one of the membership caring committee, which is Carla, myself, and Karen Livengood, or Maggie Reiser. And we have a register that we could start contacting people and tell them to be safe. We're all pretty safe, and I don't expect anything, but you never know. It's better to be prepared. We have puzzle pieces for all committees, ministries that they'll look like this. This is getting ready for the upcoming end of the month. Help me.
Yeah, the board's
Board.
the committee.
Right, thank you.
And list people in committees.
Yeah, so I'm going to be passing them out to ones that are here, either the chairman or some we don't have chairmans or somebody that I know it's on the committee. And hopefully they could put all the names of the people they have on the committee and some kind of artistic work or words, just maybe what you like about being on that committee. By next week, hopefully, if not, we really would appreciate them in by the following week, the 15th. And so we could prepare for the end of the month. From membership committee, I want to say that orientation, we're having orientation. We have new members, we have people that have come to us and want to join. So, so we'll have orientation at the end of this month, hopefully, and integration of new members in September. If anybody else, we have a few that have come to us and we have a couple that are thinking about it. If anybody's thinking about it, let us know so we could add you to the list. And after service today, we'll have coffee hour and snacks outside. So pick up a plate and take it outside so we could all take our mask off and enjoy ourselves. And that's it. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a special service for us. It's called our Flower Communion, and hopefully if you are new to our church this morning, you will also participate in this ritual. And if you have been here, maybe you don't know the history of the Flower Communion, and you will learn this today. We haven't been able to do it for a year because of the pandemic. On your order of service, it says, a quote by Henri Matisse that said, "There are always flowers for those who want to see them." I confess this morning when I thought about the change in COVID protocols, the fact that COVID is still with us, it's hard for me to see the flowers in this situation. But hopefully by being together this morning in a very safe and socially distanced way, and listening to the story of the courage of Dr. Chapek, the creator of the Flower Communion, we can have a better appreciation of flowers that we can find in our lives and all the times of our lives. First, an invocation, A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomzak Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so, you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. And good morning. Welcome to this service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart. My name is Cindy Hazeman, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles. both of which can be found online. Together, we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. We are currently in search for a full-time minister. When we do not have a minister in the pulpit, we invite members or guests to share a special message with us. Today, our worship service will be led by me, Myra Seek, Ruth Halstead, Stephanie Dowell, and Sadah Shaheen. I want to draw your attention to the fact that there are different words for our chalice lighting and doxology, and that greet your neighbor is in a different position in our order of service this morning. But again, if you're new here, it doesn't matter because it's all new to you, but I have every confidence in those of you who usually come that we can do this because we are Unitarian Universalists. But let's take a deep breath, and another, and join together in a spirit of reverence while Myra lights the chalice.
Please join me in lighting our chalice. The words are different from our customary chalice lighting and are printed on your order of service if you are attending in person. So please join me as we read Within the Heart of the Flower by Amy Zucker Morgenstern. Within the heart of the flower, the fountain of beauty, within the heart of the community, a fire that warms and dances, within the heart of each of us, a spark of the spirit of life.
Let's go old school.
The opening words are Enter into the Community of Flowers by Elizabeth M. Strong. Enter with joyful hearts. Enter with reverent thoughts. It has taken long months beneath the cold ground for these flowers to prepare their blooming. It has taken each of us long times of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare for our living now. The blooming season is short. The flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all too brief lifetimes. Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, and sounds. Let us celebrate together in love that as we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours together among the flowers. Please stand as you are willing and able and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken. And please remain standing through the singing of our doxology. Again, number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Praise join me in speaking our affirmation of faith. The words are in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our doxology this morning uses the same tune as always, but has different words written by Lisa Doge specifically for the Flower Communion Sunday. Please join me in singing In Colors Bright and Essence Sweet. The words you can find again in your service.
This congregation expresses our greatest joys and deepest sorrows in community. We believe that a joy shared is magnified and a sorrow shared is diminished. We pause, listening to what arises from within our hearts. If you're online while the music plays, you can type your joys and concerns in the chat box. Your joys and concerns will not be part of the recording, which is made public.
Please leave the microphone there. Thank you.
Any joys and concerns that we can share loudly? Please.
I have a joy and a sorrow that joy that you are embarking on a new part of your life, the phase of your life, and I'm sorry that goodwill will miss you.
Thank you. I am Maria. Didn't expect that. Stuck with that. Okay. Any joys and concerns? Yes. Right.
I'm Brian, and I'm getting to the age where I can bring up health issues, basically because I need the support of this community as I do these things. I've got a condition that's too long, but it affects blood pressure and it affects mood. And I'm doing medications for each and trying to integrate them at the same time. And sometimes it's not easy. So if you see me during the service sit down when I should be standing up, that's the reason why. I also want to thank my beloved Connie for her support. So thank you all.
Thank you, Brian.
My joy is that my daughter, son-in-law, and grandchild are here for 2 weeks. I'm still finding Cheerios, just about everywhere. I have learned some magnificent techniques of Play-Doh. And I visited 5 museums and about a dozen parks inside of 2 weeks. So it was a wonderful time. I took them to the airport on Tuesday, and they're back in Brooklyn, and I'm already missing them.
Thank you. Yes. Story for the child in each of us. Flower Communion from Lamb in Every Corner, a UU storybook, Janine Gromeyer. In the city of Prague, in the land of Czechoslovakia, in the year 1923, there was a church. But the building did not look like much of a church. It had no bells, no spires, no stained glass windows. It had no organ to make beautiful music. It didn't even have a piano. It had no carvings of wood or statues of stone. It had no candles or chalices. It had no flowers. The church did have some things. It had 4 walls and a ceiling and a floor. It had a door and a few windows. It had some wooden chairs, but that was all, plain and simple. Except the church also had people who came to it every Sunday. It had a minister. His name was Norbert Čapek. He had been the minister at the plain and simple church for 2 years. Every Sunday, Minister Čapek went to church, and he spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quietly and still in those hard wooden chairs. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no food, not even coffee or donuts. Springtime came to the city of Prague, and Norbert Čapek went out for a stroll. The rains had come, the birds were singing, and the flowers were blooming all over the land. The world was beautiful. Then an idea came to him. Simple and clear, plain as the day. The next Sunday, he asked all the people in the church to bring a flower, or a budding branch, or even a twig. Each person was to bring one. What kind? They asked. What color? What size? You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so, on the next Sunday, which was the first day of summer, the people came with flowers, all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies, red roses. There were white lilies, blue ashers, dark-eyed pansies, little light green leaves, pink and purple, orange and gold. There were all those colors and more. Flowers filled with all the vases. And the church wasn't so plain and simple anymore. Minister Čapek spoke to the people while they listened, sitting quietly and still in those hard wooden chairs. These flowers are like us, he said. Different colors, different shapes, and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care. But each beautiful, each important, and each special in its own way. When he was done speaking, the people talked a little bit among themselves, and they then each chose a different flower from the vases before they went home. And that was all. It was beautiful, plain, and simple as the day. And this is why many of our sibling congregations to this day will enjoy a simple, beautiful ritual, bringing a flower and taking a different flower.
Thank you, Sada. The flower communion story was told so beautifully. I am not surprised how well you did it. I want to say on a personal note that I am very excited for you and what the future holds for you. But I will miss you. Some people come in our lives and stay a short time, and others come and leave footprints in our hearts, and we are never the same. You have changed me. I am enriched because of your presence. You are a part of our family, and you will always be in our hearts. The Flower Communion origin story. It is a story worth remembering and telling. I want to remind you, if you don't know, a little bit more of the life of Dr. Čapek and his contribution to our heritage. Reverend Norbert Čapek and his wife, Reverend Maja Čapek, founded the Unitarian Church of Czechoslovakia and created the Flower Communion, which was first celebrated on June the 24th, Sada's birthday, in 1923, different year. As he explained in his sermon then, the flowers symbolize the members, each unique and free, joining together in fellowship and accepting each other regardless of their differences. At the end of the service, each member was to take one flower, just as it comes, without making any distinction where it came from and whom it represents, to confess that we accept each other as brothers and sisters without regard to class, race, or other distinction, acknowledging everybody as our friend who is human and wants to be good, Reverend Chapek said. Subscribing to no theological system, Norbert Chapek celebrated, quote, the hidden cry for harmony with the infinite in every soul. Every person, he wrote, is an embodiment of God, and in every one of us, God struggles for higher expression. The church's task, he felt, must be to place truth above any tradition, spirit above any scripture, freedom above authority, and progress above all reaction, unquote. Chapek believed that a truly religious person should have, quote, the ability to have faith and confidence, the ability to hope, the feeling of worship, charity, or selfless love, and consciousness, unquote. It would be these very beliefs and practices that would draw over 3,000 free-thinking Unitarians, Catholics, Protestants, and Jews to his church services in Prague. It was also what ultimately led to his death less than 20 years later. For when the Nazis took control of Prague in 1940, they found Dr. Chapek's gospel of the inherent worth and beauty of every human person to be, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous for the Reich for him to be allowed to live. He was arrested by the Gestapo for listening to foreign broadcasts and accused of high treason. Dr. Chapek was sent first to Dachau and later Austria, where he was put to death the next year during a Nazi medical experiment. Surviving fellow prisoners tell in glowing words of the magnificentness of Chapek's witness to the truths he proclaimed. By what he said and what he was, he fortified and uplifted those among whom he dwelt. As one Catholic priest who was with him bore witness, quote, he achieved his greatest ministry there among the despairing who lived in the very shadow of death. Without him, we could not have endured. This gentle man of courage suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope, decency, and inclusion lives on through his flower communion, which is widely celebrated today. It is a noble and meaning-filled ritual we are about to recreate. This service includes the original consecration of Dr. Chapek to help us remember the principles and dreams for which he died. Let us now celebrate this flower communion and explore what it can teach us in this time about growing spiritually, building community, and living our values. Whenever Dr. Chapek conducted his flower communion in Prague, he would say this as he consecrated the flowers. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. But may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. It is time now for us to share in the flower communion. I ask that as you each in turn approach the communion vase, that you do so quietly, reverently, and with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and one another with gentleness, justice, and love. I ask that you select a flower different from the one you brought that particularly appeals to you. As you take your chosen flower, note its particular shape and beauty, and please remember to handle it carefully. It is a gift from nature's bounty brought by someone from this gathering, and therefore deserves your kindest touch. Let us share quietly in this Unitarian Universalist ritual of oneness and love. Everyone is welcome at this table, regardless of whether you brought a flower or not. I ask that you come forward and choose your flower in a socially distanced way, if this is what you choose to do, and if you don't choose to come forward, but you would still like a flower, we will have them available for you. While you are seated, please join me in listening to Jeremy play hymn number 402, From You I Receive, to You I Give, Together We Share, and From This We Live, which will be repeated until everyone has a flower. However, feel free to hum or sing along as the Spirit moves you.
that wanted one? If you didn't, raise your hand and we'll come to you. Okay. That was beautiful. So now we are going to take a moment of silent reflection. Think about what drew you to the flower you are holding. Of all the possible flowers, why did you choose this one? Look closely at it. Notice its color, size, shape, texture. Notice that it has a center, a focal point from which everything radiates. And ask yourself where your center lies, your own personal center. Flowers stretch up towards the life-giving sun. Ask yourself, toward what lofty aim does your own spirit aspire? Flowers have roots hugging the earth. Ask yourself, where do you draw your own strength and nourishment? Allow within you allow within you the bloom to bloom a sense of gratitude to nature. A gratitude for this complex, beautiful gift of nature in your hand. And a gratitude for the diversity of which it is a small part. Just as your flower is a single representation of nature's bounty, you and everyone here are representations of the bounty of this community. Please stand as you are able and briefly express your welcome and appreciation to those around you for their presence and shared experience this morning. Greet your neighbor by waving is recommended.
I love the sound of joyous talking together and connection and community that we get. It's just a beautiful thing. We're going to close out our ceremony this morning with the Flower Communion Blessing by Thomas Rhodes. Within our hands, we hold the resurrection of the world. Transient and imperfect, these blossoms are still gifts of infinite value, like ourselves. Too often, we seek permanence and perfection. Resisting change, blind to our shortcomings, we become caught up in the petty issues and routine activities of our daily lives. But may these flowers serve as a reminder as they allow themselves to open to the heavens. For despite their imperfections, they still have integrity, and though they are transient, they contain the seeds of transcendence, like ourselves. Let us then open ourselves to mystery and wonder, fretting not about small mishaps or even, for now, great misfortune. For the resurrection of the world is at our fingertips. The resurrection lies within us. Let us keep a moment of silent appreciation together.
Now is the time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. We take 2 collections. The money in the baskets goes towards the work of the church, and the money in the tin cups goes towards our work in the community. Our Loose Change for Social Change contribution for this month goes to Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana. May I have 4 volunteers, please? For your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful. Our responsive reading for today is adapted from Remembering Our International Family of Faith by William G. Sinkford. Reverend Sinkford is the senior pastor of First Unitarian Universalist Church of Portland, Oregon, and former president of our Unitarian Universalist Association. When I indicate like this, you will respond with the following words: our prayer for the world. In the presence of these flowers, these representatives of creation's profound beauty, diverse and unique, but related and interdependent, these flowers which come to us as gifts from we know not where, and which we, in turn, choose to bring to our shared and common altar as gifts to one another. In their presence, we turn our thoughts to the mystery beyond mysteries, to the most sacred, which we never fully understand, but which we are granted revelatory glimpses of in each of these flowers, in each of your faces. And through relationships with neighbors near and far, may they remind us of grace we have known in days past. Forgiveness we have been granted and provided, love unearned and shared, recovery begun and established, generosity unforeseen and most sacred, and may they inspire us now and in days to come to seek, to notice, to embrace, and to recreate beauty, to give into the world as exuberantly as these flowers. Our spiritual support this morning turns especially to brothers and sisters around the world who share our faith. For all the Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world suffering loss due to the pandemic, our prayer for the world. For the Unitarian Universalist congregations affected by hurricanes, flooding, and fires, especially the elderly and disabled, our prayer for the world. For LGBTQ+ Unitarian Universalists who struggle for rights, safety, and survival around the world, our prayer for the world. For the Indonesian Unitarian Universalists who dream of a day when religious freedom and tolerance are common, our prayer for the world. For Unitarian Universalists in Alabama who continue the struggle for reproductive justice. Our prayer for the world. For Unitarian Universalists who work for racial justice, including liberation from mass incarceration and attacks on voting rights. Our prayer for the world. For the Transylvanian and Hungarian Unitarians who have borne witness to our faith for so many centuries and with whom we discover so much of ourselves. Our prayer for the world. For Unitarian Universalists who remind us that all life is interconnected. Climate and environmental justice demand that we create a sustainable way of life. Our prayer for the world. For the UUs of the Philippines who testified to the practical healing power of our faith. Our prayer for the world. For Unitarian Universalists in Arizona who advocate for immigration reform and an end to detentions and deportations. Our prayer for the world. For the Unitarians of Prague and the Czech Republic, who maintain the vision of Norbert Čapek, the vision which calls for us to this flower communion today. Our prayer for the world. For all Unitarian Universalists around the world, in congregations large and small like ours, and as much for those who, like Thomas Jefferson, must be content to be Unitarians by themselves. For all who embrace freedom, reason, and tolerance as hallmarks of faith and proclaim a vision of peace with justice, we reach out with love and care and gratitude. Our prayer for the world. And may the meaning and message of Flower Communion be alive in our hearts, inviting us to be faithful partners in the creation of beloved community and guiding us toward right relationship with all of our neighbors near and far. Our prayer for the world. Thank you.
Please join in a moment of silent reflection and prayer as we listen to these words by Reverend Charles W. Grady. Holy and creative light, teach us to love this earth, our home. Together we live in one small house, even though to us it seems so large with so many rooms. This quiet star, marbled blue and white, was hanging here and spinning in black space long before we came. Whole families, kingdoms, empires of teeming life arose and passed away before us. Now we are here, not knowing why or how, but slowly we have begun to learn about our house, how delicate, how self-contained, and how easily torn apart. Holy is it, this bubble of rock, water, air, not to be consumed nor smashed like the careless child's toy, but to be cared for and cherished, to be kept clean and livable for all the later tenants of these generations. Teach us to be servants of life and not prideful masters. For we are caretakers and stewards here with a great responsibility to watch over the house, to savor its beauty, to breathe its air. O Eternal One, addressed by the human heart through many names, but never to be encompassed by any name, even the holiest, we would know more of ourselves within this hour. We would find more light, knowing dimly somehow that to be human is precisely to be responsible, to feel shame at the sight of misery condoned, to feel shame when we hear of suffering shrugged away, to resist the inroads of arrogant wrongs from whatever quarter, to struggle against oppression we would stand up with quiet strength and together plant our tree of justice and truth, our flower of mercy, our stone of understanding, our foundation for peace. May wonder and adventure, curiosity and humor live in us always. May we search in faith for the green fields beyond the desert of this time, and look for the dawn coming over the sea's horizon rim, and for the stars beyond the dark. This is our prayer. Amen.
Thank you all for being here this morning. You're an integral part of our service, and literally we couldn't do it without you. Our closing words today are from Claire Fingold Thorne and are entitled, "We Give Thanks for a Bouquet of People." Let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. We give thanks for children. Like tulips and iris, they multiply around us, making the world ever more filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves ever further from us, knowing they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends, as constant in bloom as echinacea, and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends, as indomitable as geraniums, and for continuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivy, hold on and never let go, and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends, as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty a secret that is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends, who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythia. For funny friends, silly as snapdragons, and serious friends, complex as chrysanthemums. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence as soothing as the sweet smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends who stand by us in hard times, like lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or sorrow or shadow. For old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as pexandra, as steadfast as azalea, and who, like snowdrops, can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-not friends, gone but never forgotten, their beauty lives on in our memories and hearts. For this bouquet of people who brighten our lives, each in their own way, we give thanks.
Knowing
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. We carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us in the parish hall for coffee hour. Grab your plate of food and then head out to the garden.